Afternoon.
Afternoon. Okay, before we throw it open to questions, Gareth will get us underway with a few words.
Thank you for coming today. Obviously, twofold the next game here at Wembley. One, opportunity for us to qualify for the European Championship, which is a very important moment for us. And the second is the 1000th England game, which is a momentous occasion for everybody and a very special event to be involved with. As a manager, you really get a feel of the history and the privilege of leading the team when so few people have had the opportunity to do that. So we're very much looking forward to that. The squad itself is a little bit larger in size than normal. We've got one or two injury doubts, so we've named a slightly extended squad. And hopefully everybody gets through the next few days without any more problems.
Gareth, do you want to get started?
Gareth, first of all, John Stones is back in your squad. How impressed have you been with the way he's been playing for Manchester City?
Well, I think he's had a few games now back in the team. I think I'll be able to answer that question a lot better after Sunday, really. Several of the matches up to now have been Manchester City dominating the game and John serving the ball from 45 yards from the opposition's goal. So there's still a bit to see, a bit more to be tested defensively. But it's good that he's back up and fit and playing regularly, and he's obviously one of our most experienced defenders. It's an area of the pitch where, in terms of caps and experience, we don't have huge experience, and it's good to have John back in that mix.
And Michael Keane misses out this time. Is that because of his form for Everton, or because of the way the team played against the Czech Republic?
Well, I think Michael's had a couple of difficult games with us, and I felt that this is a good moment for him to get a break from it. He'll have a couple of weeks to recharge. We'll see if he's in the Everton team this weekend, but if not, be a chance for him to work on his game, and it gives us a chance to keep a couple of the younger ones involved, for whom training with us is possibly more important than it is for Michael at this stage. So, over a period of time, he's done a good job with us, but I just felt the last couple of games were a bit more difficult, and so that was the reason for the change.
And how close was Jack Grealish to making your squad?
Yeah, he's a very good player. I've watched him closely this season. I thought he played very well against Brighton a couple of weeks ago, although Brighton had 10 men for 55 minutes, which was a big influence on that game. The reality of that is he's up against Sterling, Rashford, Hudson-Odoi, Sancho in those wide areas. I know he can play as a number 8, but that's not where Villa have played him in the last 6 or 7 weeks, where they've been getting their results. So the competition in that area is really high level. They're all good players. I think Jack's a very good player. I worked with him with the under-21s, so I know all about him. He's very close. He's just got to keep playing the way he is. And if we had issues over the weekend, I wouldn't hesitate to call him into the squad.
And Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain is back. You said you left him out of the last squad because you wanted him to be playing regularly for Liverpool. He's been doing that and scoring. Is that his reward? Is that the reason why he's back?
Yeah, it's not a case of reward. We have huge belief in him. We think he's, whether it's as a midfield player where he is excellent with and without the ball, provides a goal-scoring threat, works hard for the team, presses well, or as a wide player or forward player, we've got huge belief in him. That's why we brought him back a little bit earlier than we might have done in September. I felt in October he had the message from us that we had faith in him. He just needed to go away and get playing more regularly, so that he was coming into us ready to play. I think that's the key. You don't want to be coming into an England camp short of match fitness, because it's hard to then go into the games and do yourself justice. So he looks as if he's on a really good path. He obviously had a long period out injured, and it's great to see him back playing, and the goals he's scored in the last few weeks have been exceptional.
And Callum Hudson-Odoi, it's his 19th birthday today. What have you made of the way somebody so young has come back so quickly from such a serious injury?
Yeah, we were surprised at how quickly he was back. That would be credit to his dedication and motivation, and also everybody at Chelsea for the way they've managed that injury. So he's still on his way back. I think any of those long-term injuries, you take a little while to hit your very best. And of course, he's a young player, so he's still learning and improving. But already in the games he's played, we can see his level. He's pushing. He's pushing those other wide players that I talked about to start in the team. So it's great to have him back involved, and I know he'll be excited about that. And also, an important message: sometimes players, we will move them back with the under-21s at times if we think it's the right thing. He acquitted himself brilliantly within that. His attitude was fantastic. Played very well in the games. So we got, absolutely the response we would have hoped from that.
James Maddison is in the squad again. He's been in quite a few squads and not played. Do you think there's more of a chance that we'll actually see him play this time? And also, will you be having a chat with him about what happened last time out, about going to the casino?
Yeah, well, he's only been in 2 squads. He had to go home ill last time. Look, I think the important thing is to say that there were some suggestions that he decided to go home. We sent him home, he was ill, and we felt it wasn't right for him to travel with the rest of the group, possibly spread that illness, and he wouldn't have been ready to play for us. So any suggestion that he chose to go home because he wanted to go out is unfair. Having said that, I don't think it was a great decision that he took. I think now he will realise as an England player there is a different profile. I'm afraid in the modern world everybody's got a camera phone. They get the chance to make some money out of selling their pictures. So that's part of life that we all have to deal with when we're in the public eye. So now he's, in essence we're supporting him because we've picked him. And he's got to come into the squad and fight for his place along with everybody else.
And just a word on Kyle Walker. I think this is the 3rd squad in a row that he's not been in. Is that it for him as far as England is concerned, or is the door still open? No,
absolutely not. But we've been very pleased with the form of Kieran and Trent. If anything, we didn't get Trent into a game that we wanted to last time. We just felt for the second game, after the circumstances of the first and having to make some changes, we didn't want to make more changes. But his form for Liverpool's been outstanding, really exceptional. So it is an area of the pitch where we've got high competition for places. I've said that in the last couple of months, and those two have continued to play well, and so we didn't feel the need to change.
And of course, this is the 1000th game. Just looking back at the games you've been involved in, what would be your standout game as a player and as a manager?
I think as a player, Holland here in '96. Probably the qualifier in Italy where we qualified, but I think games in tournaments are so much more important. So I think that was a brilliant team performance and a critical game against an outstanding side. And for the same reasons, I think Colombia in the World Cup, we hadn't won a knockout game for over 10 years. To go to the wire with the penalty shootout and everything that sort of buried for us as a country was a game of high importance. So, those big nights with England are hugely dramatic, and that's why whenever we talk to the players, you have the chance every time you step on the field with England to write a story that could be remembered forever. And the players next week have the opportunity to do that.
Just the final one from me. Just going back to the Bulgaria game, obviously they got a stadium ban. Do you think that was the right punishment for them?
I think the punishment is really difficult to pitch. Whatever happens, we'll all have an individual view on what that could or should have been. For me, the important thing was that the subject was highlighted to everybody, the importance of it, the fact that our players owned the moment, if you want. It was their decision whether to play on or not. We weren't prepared to accept what had happened. So still very proud of the players, the way they dealt with all of that. And the ongoing issue is one of education across the world, really. I've spoken about that, probably more than I should have needed to over the last few years, but that's the situation we're still in, sadly. So I think we still have work to do, and we have to start that work here ahead of anywhere else.
Yeah, Gareth, and on that point, what you always said, I think, and what you said in Eastern Europe was that, put it into my words, I suppose, that English football has to get its own house in order before we can, go on proclaiming things to other nations. I mean, and we've seen what's happened, haven't we, in Haringey, for example, since then. You have made it part of the conversation, and I wonder if what you did in Sofia has given other players and other teams the confidence to actually be open about it and deal with it in whatever the way they think fit.
Yeah, I mean, on a broader scale, we talk about it being a problem in football, but it's a societal problem. I understand that football has a responsibility to try to deal with it within the grounds, but the people who were in the stadium in Sofia and then left before half-time were nothing to do with football. They saw an opportunity to make a political stand for whatever reason. That is what happens in society. So until we have that situation in society sorted out, then that is going to spill into football grounds, because people feel that's an opportunity. And if we eradicate it within football grounds, that won't mean that it doesn't exist outside of football grounds. So that's an important area really to note.
I wonder, Gareth, as well, in football terms, whether coming through something so challenging, uniquely challenging almost, helps actually to forge a kind of a team identity, that you stood up to that as management, as players, as black and white, and then many of those guys are coming back into that changing room together, where it intensifies their sense of being teammates.
Yeah, I'm sure that any team going through a situation like that, you definitely will feel closer together because of the way that the players spoke with each other during the week, and the way that they knew that they backed each other on the night. I don't think it's not an outcome that we would want to be particularly pleased or shouting about, because it's not a situation we ever want to go through again. And it's not a situation we look back on with great pleasure. It's a night none of us enjoyed, and a night we wouldn't want anybody to have to experience. But I think the best thing that we can do in terms of the message we give to the wider world is to continue to work as we do as a team. They can see how close the team are. They can see the diversity of the team, the different backgrounds, and how they're just a group of brothers who come together and want to play football and enjoy each other's company. And that in itself is a hugely powerful message for everybody in society.
I just want to ask you as well about, before your game here, there is a big game on Sunday when the women's team are going to they expect a record-breaking crowd. From your position, are you able to sort of take pride in the way that, obviously they want to win the match and they want to improve their results, but in terms of the interest in women's football that England seem to have driven, can you take a certain amount of pride in that from your equivalent position, I suppose?
Well, it's not for me to have pride in that. That's what they've achieved, and that's people like Brent Hills, Hope Powell, Mark Sampson leading right the way through to Phil, and more importantly than anything else, the players, over a couple of generations of players, because they've had to, have an extraordinary fight where there was no support for them. They've put themselves on the map as a team. They've achieved really good results on a world stage, and now their opportunity to play and the game is growing, and they're inspiring huge numbers of girls to play. Wherever I travel now, lots of mums and dads come up to me, talk about their daughters playing football, and they don't have to shave their hair or hide the fact that they're enjoying the game and feel accepted by the game. So it's a hugely significant few years for the women's game in our country, especially.
Okay. Any further questions? Thank you very much.
Okay.